It's been quite the offseason for the New York Giants, who have been busy plugging up the team throughout free agency, and Dave Gettleman still has one major obstacle left: the NFL draft. Now, the big question is what the Giants will do with the fourth overall pick. Now, a team could potentially trade up for it, but in my mock draft, I have them trading up with the Lions before the Giants, and with no other team trading with the Giants at four, the Giants will stand pat at the fourth pick. However, I do have a trade in this latest mock draft with some of the later draft capital the Giants have acquired. But without further ado, let's get to it. New York Giants mock draft 3.0. In the first round, I have the New York Giants selecting Tristan Worth, the offensive tackle out of Iowa. Now, this is a big surprise pick because everyone seems to have Isaiah Simmons going to the Giants with the first overall pick. However, recent reports said that Dave Gettleman is in love with Wirfs. He loves the athleticism. He loves his ability. And this is a great tackle and could be the best athletic tackle in the entire draft class. Now, I get Simmons is a difference maker on defense. He's a jackknife. He can do everything. But the biggest thing for Dave Gettleman is he has to make Daniel Jones work as a prospect. And with this offensive line, Tristan Worth could be a day one right tackle starter and then could eventually switch to the blind side in the future. This is a great pick to help with Saquon Barkley in the running lanes. This is a great pick to help out Daniel Jones. And Wirfs is one of the best tackles, and on many boards, he is considered the best tackle in the entire draft. And why I truly believe Dave Gettleman will go with this pick: he loves building in the front seven and in the trenches. That's his MO. And this is the most athletic kid on the offensive line. He gets him, helps build the New York Giants offensive line. And even though it is tempting to take Simmons here, they understand the importance of the offensive line, which leads me to round two, Cesar Ruiz, the center from Michigan. I know, two offensive linemen. It's not the flashiest picks, but Ruiz is the best center in this entire class. He can be a day one starter as well for the Giants. And now, potentially, Dave Gettleman has selected two key pieces for the next decade. He could have the Giants' left tackle of the future and their center for the next decade. And once again, it's all about Daniel Jones, protecting him, making sure he can develop, because his future as the Giants general manager depends on Daniel Jones. And if Daniel Jones pops behind a great offensive line next year, Dave Gettleman has secured job security for the next couple of years, and then he can focus on the defense, and then he can focus on maybe trading up for more talented people in next year's draft. But for the time being, everything has to be about improving Daniel Jones's play, and the best way to do that is giving him a very good offensive line. And if the Giants do these two picks, they could have a top 10 offensive line potentially in the league next year. And that also helps their other former first-round pick, Saquon Barkley. You don't think Saquon's going to love running behind a great offensive line? This helps both of the two big marquee picks in the Dave Gettleman era and just makes a lot of sense when you think about it, and could give the Giants not only a good offensive line, but a great offensive line for the next decade. And hold on, we have a trade. The Giants will trade up to the early third round. They will trade their late third round pick that was a compensation pick, their fifth round, and one of their 4 seventh round picks to move up to the early third round to get Alton Robinson, the edge defender from Syracuse. After free agency, the Giants still need some help on the edge. Ran a 4.7 at the combine, big, athletic, outside rush linebacker, 14.5 sacks over the last 2 years. This is a productive kid. He can get off the edge, and he's got a lot of tools. And look, he could use some more development. He could learn some more finesse in some of his pass rushing techniques, could work on his footwork. But when you look at the athleticism, the size, and the build, it's all there. It's a great mound of clay that you can mold into a good edge rusher. And in the third round, the Giants could use that. I mean, you look at their defense right now, they did a lot to improve this secondary, but they could still look to upgrade the pass rushing situation. I think Robinson's a great fit, and it will be a nice pick in the third round. In the fourth round, I have them getting Robertson, the cornerback out of Louisiana Tech. And this is a perfect fit. He's a slot corner. He's a 5'8 corner, but he's not afraid of bigger receivers. That's one of the big things scouts have said about him. He's not afraid to take on bigger wide receivers. A 4.4 speed at corner, highly versatile, can play in the box, can play in the run game and sub packages, can cover extremely well, and you need good slot cover receivers now. You look at how offenses are spreading the field, slot corners are highly valuable, and getting a very good one right here in the 4th round that could potentially start on day 1 is key for the New York Giants. In the 6th round, I have them going with wide receiver Aaron Parker out of Rhode Island. I really like this kid. I mean, when on the surface, he doesn't seem to be a great fit because he's not a burner at 4.6 40 time, but I really like what he brings to the table in terms of his package. He's a 6'2 receiver, very good athlete, has a wide catch radius, goes out and gets the ball, but you can see that he was a former basketball player and he really shows it off. He is great at 50-50 balls. He loves going up in the air and grabbing them. He's got great hand skills when he's fighting corners, going aerial, trying to get that football. And really, he's a nifty route runner. I can see him being a nice slot receiver for this team, but also being a nice red zone target, having a big body that can get up in the air so Daniel Jones can throw a jump ball into the corner of the end zone. It's a nice fit. He's not going to be, in the beginning, an every down wide receiver. He's not going to be your outside guy. But as your 3rd or 4th receiver that could be in the slot, that can come in on sub packages in the red zone, that can go up and grab the football when you need it, this is a nice player, and I think he'll fall to the 6th round because of that 4.6 40 time. But to be fair, I don't think you need to be an absolute burner, but once again, this is a talented wide receiver class, and the Giants can even take advantage of that in the 6th round. In the 7th round, I have them going with Mike Onuoha, the offensive guard from Michigan. I know, a 3rd offensive lineman, but I'm telling you, they really like this kid. They've been in his pro day. They've had a virtual workout with him. And really, he's a good developmental piece right now. You already have Worth. You already have Ruiz. You can get a guy like Onuoha to be a developmental guard and maybe be a starter next year, or at least a solid backup in the middle. This Giants offensive line is starting to get a little long in the tooth, and having a developmental prospect like Onuoha, who was a road grader at Michigan, he's very good in the run game. He's a punishing run blocker. He's got tools you can work with. He needs help in pass protection, but this is a kid that if you really needed to plug and play him next year, he could be a good backup for this offensive line, and they could use the depth. In the 7th round, I have them going with Dejon Harris, the inside linebacker out of Arkansas. Once again, a kid that they've really loved. Virtual workouts, they've been at the pro day. Really like this kid. Fits the 3-4 scheme as a strong linebacker. Really good in the run game. Has some coverage skills problems, but once again, he's good in the box. Can get up the field. Really solid in run defense. Could be a 2-down linebacker potentially, especially on 1st and 2nd down. You might have to take him out on 3rd down. But once again, gives this linebacking core some nice depth. I know they've addressed it in the free agency period, but once again, you could always use good backups and getting guys that can contribute on the special teams. And finally, in the 7th round, I have them going with Jordan Fuller, the safety out of Ohio State. And this would be a nice story for the Giants. Former New Jersey Gatorade Player of the Year, has the ability and the size to line up and cover tight ends, big physical safety. Not a traditional free safety that's going to be covering. You're going to have to probably play him more around the line of scrimmage, but he does have good athleticism that you can maybe work on those coverage skills, but for the time being, he's a good backup safety. You can play him in some sub packages. You can even probably play him at linebacker in some certain packages. Versatile defensive player that, once again, on this Giants defense, you need guys that can be good backups, can play multiple roles. Fuller can come in right away and do that. He had a very good season with the Buckeyes last year and would also help address a key depth issue. And that's our mock draft. Do you want to see the Giants take Isaiah Simmons with the 4th pick, or do you want to see him take Tristan Worth or a different offensive tackle? I would love to hear from you. Make sure to comment below. And remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our latest content. Of course, we're going to have one more mock draft before the NFL draft on April 23rd. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. Lots of great content coming, so I promise you're not going to want to miss this on Rich Sports Talk. We got a lot of great stuff coming for you. But until next time, I'm your host, Nolan Rich, and this is Rich Sports Talk.